these are my recent reads the past few months. It's been a real, like, weird fiction kind of time for me, so you'll see. My first one is The River Has Roots. I got this as an ARC. I was really excited about this. I heard some good things from some other people I trust on TikTok, so I was kind of thinking, like, yeah, I did the annoying thing where I wanted to read the book, and I remembered that I'd saw it on NetGalley, so I requested it so I could read it for free, which was great, and I love that, because I don't know, I'm always really resistant to buying really thin books, so I would have probably just waited forever for it to turn up on my library. Yeah, anyway, besides the point, this is like a proper little fairy story. It's the best way I can describe it. It feels like the stories that I read growing up with like Irish fairy folklore. This isn't an Irish book at all, but it has the essence of like one of those Irish stories about the other world and people like traversing into the other world and like craving it and longing for it. It's lovely. I just didn't feel like a really close connection with anyone specific in the books. I said this to something. I said this like maybe in a different video or maybe TikTok, but it kind of reminds me of when you read stories about like the gods and stuff where you feel like a little removed from the characters. I feel a little removed, which I think is something you sacrifice by having a story that feels like a proper folklore story, you know? This feels like something that would be passed around orally like by the campfire and was gone through like generations and stuff, and it's just beautiful. The writing's beautiful and gorgeous and really thoughtful. I would read so many more of I'm blanking on the author's name but I'd read so many more of her books. I love the way she writes. It's a little flowery and it's a little heavy, but I think it's excellent. Next I read She's Always Hungry by Eliza Clark. I'd never read an Eliza Clark book before, so I kind of went into this only sort of having the vague sense that other people really liked her books. So my expectations were like quite high. It's a collection of short stories that are supposed to be following the theme of like hunger. I do think I went into this book with warped expectation because I had recently read Hungerstone, which was excellent and does like cravings and hunger really well. So this book, it just didn't feel hungry enough. I don't know, it was fine. I think some of the stories I really liked and some of them were so forgettable. Like I can't remember what most of the stories were in these books. In this singular book, not books, plural, one of the stories is there's like a bunch of sailors and they're like lured by this mermaid. It's the men. That's the problem. It was really good. I really loved that one. And another one that stood out to me was one about like a takeaway place on Just Eat. Or it wasn't Just Eat, but you know what I mean? Like it was on one of those websites and it's basically just reading all the reviews of people. And I thought it was really good. I thought it was really interesting. I liked listening to that. I think I would have got bored if I was reading that one with my eyes. So I don't really know. I'm not sure how I felt about, there was like an apocalyptic one. Yeah, I thought they were interesting. I don't know, sometimes I wonder, do I even like short stories? That's also the thing. Because I don't know if I've ever read a short story collection where I'm like, I love that. Maybe I don't like short story collections. Next I read This Is How You Lose the Time War. I love this. I love this so much. I did a whole reading vlog of that, so if you want to like watch me read this book, you can. I had so much fun reading this. I had so much fun talking about it as I was reading it as well. It's definitely a book that I think is good to read with people, or to at least film yourself talking about every couple of pages. I thought this was excellent. It's about two agents on different time streams who are exchanging letters to each other, and they're both trying to have this like dominant timeline in this time war that's happening. And loved it. Gorgeous, beautiful, flowery language. I found that I do think I liked the whoever Max is. I think I liked Max's sections more, but I don't really know. I think I also was only able to spot who was who because I'd read The River Has Roots first, probably is what happened. But I liked both of them. I loved both of them. I just found myself more drawn to Red. But maybe that's, I don't know, because you'd think I would like the fairy type one more, but didn't. I love a half machiney assassin person. They're both assassins, but yeah, anyway, I love this book. I loved it so much. I want to talk about it all the time with people, and I want to reread it, but I know it's too soon. It's definitely too soon to reread it, but one day. So in my head, that makes it like a 5-6 star. If I want to reread a book, I rarely want to reread books. So for me, wanting to reread things is like the top tier of books anyway. The time travel I find very confusing, but I feel like I get it now. And I also didn't really understand the plot that was happening towards the end. I was a little confused, felt like I kind of had an idea about it. And then I watched someone else explain it and it kind of clicked a bit more. So yeah, I don't know. Oh, Sunrise and the Reaping's really high up. Hang on. Oof. Next, I read this. If somehow you don't know, Sunrise and the Reaping is the prequel to the Hunger Games series. It's about Haymitch's Games, which are the second quarter-quell. Yeah, the 50th Hunger Games. It's the one where double the tributes were in arena. I was about to just tell you everything that happens in the book. It's hard to keep Hunger Games books spoiler-free because in my head everyone knows what happens, but not everyone reread Catching Fire within the past few years. So yeah, I'll keep it brief in that I really liked it. I like the original trilogy more, which I think is fine. I didn't go into this expecting to like it more than the original trilogy. I think it's on par with Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which is a little disappointing to me because I thought I would like this more than the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I liked the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. It didn't give me that like feeling that I got with the original Hunger Games, and as it's impossible because I've been chasing that feeling for like years, 10 years. So it's a hard act to follow, so I get it. I also have a reading vlog of this up. I was sick when I did it though, so I'm kind of sad that the energy of that isn't really my real energy of it, you know, but I wanted to read the book right away, so I wanted to do a vlog, and then it kind of all got, I don't know, I wish I had waited, but I enjoyed reading this at the same time as everyone else because I never have really got to do that with many books. So yeah, mainly because I'm a paperback girl. I don't like that I own this in hardcover, but maybe I'll just buy the paperback and give this to someone. I liked Haymitch as a character, but I think I had a bit of disconnect between this young Haymitch and the Haymitch that we know in the series. So I find that a little difficult to like see them as the same person. I think it's also just because I read The Hunger Games so many years ago. I have my own idea of what Haymitch's internal monologue sounds like. So it didn't line up with this one, obviously. So I enjoyed it. They feel like different people to me still. Maybe my opinion will change if I reread The Hunger Games now knowing this is Haymitch. I don't really know. I also felt very flat finishing this book because it's just, no one's story ends happily in The Hunger Games, especially because the cathartic like ending is in books that happen then like years after this one. So it's kind of, this book is a little bit of a downer because it's never going to be like a happy ending. I then listened to The Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi. Excellent audiobook. So good. I think it's one of my favourite audiobooks ever, possibly. Definitely favourite fantasy audiobook. It's pirates. It's about this retired like pirate captain. What's the word? Nahuda. And she's got like a kid and she's not doing all of that stuff anymore, and then someone kind of like forces her hand into doing like another piratey mission, and she has to accept it and has to go get her old crew back and get her old shit back, and it's just so good. It's so good. They do folklore really well. It's historical fantasy. It definitely feels like historical fantasy. It doesn't feel like a fantasy that's inspired by a certain time period. It feels like it's that time period, and there's fancy elements in it that, you know, could have really existed, but we just don't remember, didn't see it for like with our own eyes. I loved it. I also really like pirates, so it helped there because I don't think I've read a book with pirates that I haven't liked. The best thing about the book, I think, is the dynamic of all the people together. I think they blend so well. They feel like they have real history. I love when there's a found family that feels like a found family and isn't just kind of used as like a trope. And this felt like they'd actually had history and they will continue seeing each other after the end of the book, you know. It was really good. Also, found out it's the beginning of a series, so very excited about that because I was reading it thinking it was a standalone, so it was a nice little treat for me when I like googled it after and I saw that it was a trilogy. Super good. Also, I have a full video of me talking about this more So if you want to hear more about it, yeah, it's there. I was trying to think of something I didn't like about it to keep it balanced and even, but I can't think of anything, so that's good. Next, I read The Dream Hotel. This is another arc. I think this is going to end up on those, like, if you like Black Mirror, you should read these books kind of lists. It's about this facility that's kind of operating like a jail, and it's people who have a predicted score that's high enough that means that they will, in the future, commit a crime. So it's kind of like this crime prevention facility that people have to, like, live in to lower their scores. It's jail. It's definitely jail. It also reminds me of a YA book I read when I was really young called The Predicteds, which was kind of a similar thing. They were in school and they all had to do a test, and then they were predicted if they would commit crime or not, and they separated the people who were, like, going to be law-abiding citizens and the people who were going to be, like, violent. So it's kind of, yeah, it was like the grown-up version of that, which I really enjoyed. I thought this book was fine for, like, the majority of it. I was kind of just sort of going through the motions. So I was like, okay, this is interesting. Oh yeah, da-da-da-da. I really like the idea of surveillance state. Ooh, sorry, chair. This chair's so squeaky. I need to, like, oil it or something. I feel like it makes all my videos really awkward because it's always squeaking. Anyway, what was I saying? One of the interesting things about this book is our main character and some of the other people in the facility are there because of their dreams. So they've got, like, this dream chip, and it has then interpreted their dream data and put that towards their risk score. So people are now in this facility being predicted to do violent crimes based on the dreams that they're having, which is fascinating to me. I love a dystopian, like, surveillance state thing that's going way too far. Also why it would be a Black Mirror episode. And I thought it was interesting. I wasn't, like, invested in the story though. It was like one of those books where I was reading it and I was like, oh, fascinating, interesting. But I wasn't like, ooh, I've got to know what happens next. Until the 50% mark. There was, like, a POV shift, which I thought was really interesting. But I think it's a shame because that shift didn't really carry through until the end of the novel. It's just, how do I explain it? Like, the storyline that opened up, I feel like was left very unfinished, which disappointed me. I didn't want to stay in that POV forever. I just wish we had have, like, carried that plot thread all the way through, you know? Does that make sense? I don't want to spoil it. I thought this book was, like, didn't really fully round out in the way I wanted it to. So first 50% fine book, having an okay time. Then, like, 50% to 60%, I was like, this is great. I'm loving this. I'm having a great time. And then the final 10%, I was like, oh, we're just ending? We're just going to end it there. What about this? 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 You know? I did like the way the story ended. I just wish that some more little things had been tied up before then. Next, I listened to The Centre. The Centre is about this place called The Centre where you go to learn languages, and you basically just learn it like that. No effort, no physical effort is put in, no, like, mental, like, learning is happening. You go into the centre, you pay an extortionate amount of money. It's like a, you know, retreat style, like, hippie, not hippie, but, you know, like that bougie type of hippie where everyone's wearing, like, linen. I'm wearing linen. And they're like, hello, welcome to the centre. Would you like a falafel and something tea? What's the tea they drink? I don't know. That kind of vibe of place. And yeah, you go in, you don't know the language, you leave, you know the language. I thought the narration of this was excellent. You get a real feeling for each of the characters, like, all of their accents and their tones of voices are all just so different and unique and great. And I think in a book that's about languages, that's really nice to have that sense of each of the people. I don't want to say too much about the plot because I feel like the interesting bit of this book is finding out the things that are happening. I saw some reviews where people were like, oh, it was so predictable. I didn't think it was predictable, but maybe that's on me. So I don't want to spoil what the book's about because I had a good time not knowing what it was about until they told me. I think also once the revelation happened, I was so like, oh my god, that I kind of, it ruined it for me. I'm like one of the people in the centre. Once I found out how it was happening, I was like, oh, you know, it burst my bubble. My bubble was burst. But I thought it was a really good book. If I was to pick a language to learn instantly, I would pick Irish there would be no question. I wouldn't be thinking what language will get me the most like opportunities, or what will like open up the most doors, or even like what the most people speak. I love languages. I'm awful at learning them. I need the center. I wouldn't go to the center. If you've read this book, let me know. Would you go to the center? Because I don't know. Yeah. I'm currently reading Paladin's Gate. Nope. Paladin's Grace. I confess, it's because of the cover. They got new covers, and I'm absolutely obsessed with this cover, so that's my current read. I'm not very far in. I'm 4 pages in. Yeah, and I'm also reading Six of Crows. I'm currently not listening to anything. I need to find a new audiobook to listen to. I do have 3 credits on Libro FM that I need to use. Not need to use, I can use, so maybe I'll pick one and not just pick whatever's available in my library. A little treat. Anyway, yeah. Thanks for sticking around. Have you read any of these books? Do you have any opinions on them? Do you have any questions? I would love to answer them.